Welcome everyone again. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Christian Ronica and I'm a whole food nutrition expert and consultant based in Melbourne, Australia, and I'll be your host for the teleconference today titled Becoming Limitless Through Whole Brain Intelligence. My guest today is Daniel Rechnitzer. He's a founder of UI Group and he'll be sharing with you some profound wisdom on whole brain intelligence to gain insights for yourself both personally and professionally. So for healthcare providers, business and life coaches out there, these insights will further assist your clients achieving breakthroughs and will also improve overall client experience, as I've found within my own business. And on a personal note, the shifts in my own life since being introduced to UI have been absolutely phenomenal. That's why I feel this information is so important to share with you all today. So without further ado, good morning, Daniel, and it's great to have you on the call.
Good morning, Christian. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Christian, for that very, very warm introduction. And I really hope everyone's as excited about this info as I am. It's an absolute breakthrough. So I'd really like to say how pleased I am that so many of you have given this the priority in your schedules that it truly deserves. And you'll be very grateful after and during the session. So I'd like to kick off with dispelling a few misconceptions that some of you are carrying into this teleconference. I just want to get clear on a few things. So first of all, who I am not. I'm not a scientist who's developed a new hypothesis that I'm trying to share with you. This is not a hypothesis. And I'm not an academic either who's looking for any accolades. And nor am I a new age extremist attempting to convert people to my belief system. And no offense to any of the above by any means, but it's not who I am. So who I am is somebody who has learned to access whole brain intelligence. And that's quite a long story behind that, so I won't go into that now. But learning to access whole brain intelligence, as has everyone here at the UI Group, it allows us to do things many people in the scientific and academic spheres still believe is impossible. We can do things the medical profession won't discover for many years to come. And we can all do things that I used to believe are impossible as well. But today what I'll be demonstrating is far from impossible. In fact, whole brain intelligence and the skills that accompany it are available for us all. And I know this because we teach these skills to men, women, and even children every month of the year, and have been doing so for over 5 years with great success. So let's get into it. So what is whole brain intelligence and these abilities I talk of? And I'm just going to take you through a little bit of background for a while before we move on to the demonstrations, before we move on to the questions. Give you some nice context for where this is coming from and what makes it all possible. So to start, let's look at a well-established belief in our society. Many of us believe that the sum total of a human being's knowledge and abilities come from our experience and our training. It's quite common to think this, and quite reasonable to think this, up until now. Yet why then do so many individuals, from the likes of Mozart, Da Vinci, to our modern-day genii, possess incredible skills and wisdom far beyond their years? It's because there is something unaccounted for. And it is the same thing that is responsible for two inventors coming up with the same idea at the same time despite being on opposite sides of the earth. Quite a common phenomenon. And it is the same thing that gives a mother an acute, almost precognitive awareness about the needs of their babies. And anyone who's had kids is very familiar with that. And it's the same thing that is at the heart of life, evolving, growing, and adapting to new circumstances. What's being unaccounted for is what's at the heart of whole brain intelligence. It's called genius, and it's responsible for the world we live in. We are all joined by what quantum physicists call the quantum field. It is an interconnected sea of intelligence that permeates all physical matter. So there is intelligence running through all physical matter, joining it. It runs through our veins and it steers life towards its higher purpose. So inspiration, those 3 a.m. moments of insight, our greatest realizations that seem to just pop into our thoughts when we least expect it, all come from this sea of intelligence. Now, our brain, unbeknownst to many, is not resigned to our own intelligence, but rather is purposefully designed to draw on this field to allow us to make far better decisions than what our brains can generate all on their own. At UI Group, we call this interconnected field of intelligence universal intelligence, or UI for short, because it's universally available for every single one of us to draw on, for all of life to draw on, in fact. So let me explain a bit how this works. All physical matter has an energetic or non-physical aspect. Intelligence, in other words. This aspect represents all other non-physical matter in the universe as well. So in every square inch of non-physical matter is the sum total of all non-physical matter or intelligence in the universe. So if you can imagine the entire universe, the stars, the planets, the galaxy, the solar system, everything that we can see and perceive, if you can imagine that as a giant brain, and that will give you a really good understanding as to what I'm talking about. And as part of that giant brain, everything is interconnected through that intelligence. That's how you can see it. So all energy, as Einstein made everyone aware that everything in its essence is energy. But more than that, that energy is intelligence. And intelligence is the basic building blocks of the universe surrounding us. That's what makes it tick. It's what keeps life alive and what makes life possible. Now the good news is we too have a non-physical aspect. I won't go into detail now because it certainly warrants a teleconference all on its own. But what I will do is bridge the gap here for everyone. This non-physical aspect of ours also carries the sum total of intelligence found in the universe, binding us all together. As such, all of us carry within and throughout the sum total of intelligence in the universe. It's contained within every cell of our bodies. Now, things get a lot deeper than this, but this will suffice for now. So in actual fact, as we've been told for centuries, the answers really do lie within, and this is why. But many of us only draw on this level of sublime intelligence subconsciously. Our dreams feature it. Our inspiration stems from it. And this is because our brain only engages this level of intelligence during states of self-belief, because self-belief is the epitome of brain function. And when the mind is in a state of self-belief and the mind is quiet enough, we begin to engage this field. In other states, such as versions of self-doubt, we draw on what's called our default operating system instead, which is designed specifically to run our bodies, not make decisions. As a society, we are living predominantly through self-doubt, feelings of not enough, of inadequacy in various areas of our lives. And as such, we spend the majority of time accessing only a small portion of our brain's true capabilities. As I said, self-belief is the epitome of brain space, which engages whole brain intelligence. So in self-belief, both hemispheres of our brain work in unison and therefore become able to pick up on this universal intelligence rather than our own standalone intelligence. So it's like traditionally we're using our brain just like computers used to draw on their own hard drive prior to the internet. With the advent of the internet, computers have become far more intelligent because they're able to tap into outside intelligence, network computers. So whole brain intelligence does to our brain what the internet has done to computers, but on a far, far more profound level. When we make decisions in our normal operating mode, not from whole brain intelligence, we're not benefiting from the collective intelligence that vastly surpasses the here and now. Instead, we're making decisions that are constrained by what we know and by our limiting beliefs. So instead of tapping into this vast reservoir of intelligence and pure creativity, we're drawing on our fears, our limiting beliefs, and the sum total of knowledge and experience we've had in our short lives. Very, very limited in comparison. Furthermore, decisions from whole brain intelligence rejuvenate the body and are congruent with our internal ecosystems, and they benefit our external ecosystems. In other words, universal intelligence, or whole brain intelligence, represents all ecosystems remaining in balance, because balance in our ecosystems is predicated upon self-belief, not self-doubt. And you can see clearly, as the majority of decisions have been made through this space of self-doubt, how messed up and how affected many of our ecosystems are. Our own bodies, our own families, our own communities, and our planet. So becoming limitless is about making decisions from whole brain intelligence. So imagine if all your decisions came from the sum total of all knowing, because the universal intelligence, this field, is all knowing. It is the sum total of intelligence. So meaning your decisions, imagine if your decisions were based on every event, every decision, and every possible future outcome. That's becoming limitless. And it can be difficult to imagine, but that's what's available. But most importantly, fulfillment comes from making decisions through whole brain intelligence. It's the missing link that many of us have been searching for. But it doesn't stop there. We can also draw on whole brain intelligence to connect more deeply to those around us as a means of helping others achieve well-being and prosperity. Because accessing whole brain intelligence has us move from this standalone brain into a wireless antenna, like I'm saying, wireless internet brain, able to access information to help others. Because every answer you seek on any topic is available through whole brain intelligence. We're connecting to the sea of intelligence that contains information on everyone on any topic. And I'll go more into detail on that in a minute. But let me first introduce the next tier of understanding this whole brain picture. Let's call it reflection. This UI field of energy, this universal intelligence field that you belong to, that we all belong to, is designed from a space of compassion to reflect back to you where you are at. It acts as a mirror to provide you a reference point for your evolution, thereby aiding us to step up and become greater than who we currently believe ourselves to be. That's evolution. So in short, our universe, physical and non-physical, presents itself back to you exactly as you believe it to be. It's just a mirror. So your reality is equal to your belief systems, your subconscious belief systems. So you experience on an individual level what your individual beliefs are. We experience as a family level what beliefs we as a family hold. We experience as a community or a nation what beliefs we as a community or nation hold, and so on. everything's being reflected back to us. So, and this is critical, at the heart of all experiences are the thoughts and beliefs we hold about them. I'll read that again. At the heart of all experiences are the thoughts and beliefs we hold about them. So thought is the truth. Everything else is just a reflection. So then where does the causation of illness and pain and suffering fit into this whole picture? And you might already be putting those pieces together. Our health, our well-being and state of mind is simply all a reflection of our thoughts as well. It's the body's way of alerting you to an imbalance in your perspectives, showing you that self-doubt is deluding you into being someone you're not and making decisions that are not in your highest good. Self-doubt kills our body, and it is the source of all struggle on this planet. All decisions made from self-doubt cause suffering and struggle. Now, the reason scientists and the medical profession have been largely unsuccessful at remedying the many of the illnesses such as cancer and tumour and migraines that many people suffer from is because thoughts and subconscious beliefs are undetectable by X-ray machines, MRI scans, and many other electronic diagnostic tools. Because our bodies carry all the thoughts, beliefs, and emotions we either believe to be real or have ignored about ourselves that are untrue. Now, our brain is able to diagnose all human ailments. Our brain is the most sophisticated diagnostic equipment ever to be invented, but only through a whole brain space. Our thoughts are at the root cause of all our experiences, and accessing whole brain intelligence, our wireless brain, gives us the insight as to what thoughts are creating what experiences in ourselves and in others. So remember, every experience, every symptom in the body is a reflection of the thought at the root cause. With whole brain intelligence, we can detect all thought frequencies, pinpointing the root cause of all our experiences. So it's like our brain is very much like a radio antenna, able to move from our own radio frequencies, such as 101.1 to 103. We can move from different radio frequencies. Everything's carrying a frequency, and we can direct it to perceive information coming from different frequencies, from our body, from our subconscious, to other people's body, other people's subconscious, and beyond. And I'll demonstrate some of that soon. Because thought is the truth. Everything, the symptoms in our body, the experiences in our life, is just a reflection. Now, for those of you who work to aid people to grow or become healthy, such as physicians, coaches, and trainers, using whole brain intelligence revolutionizes your practice because it takes the hit and miss out of your work, as many of our course attendees and mentoring clients will attest to. Because it takes the thinking mind, it takes the analysis out of the equation as you're drawing on your genius, you're drawing on whole brain intelligence, on insight, to access the root cause and solution to a situation. And it allows you to give direction on areas that you yourself have not yet mastered, because it's drawing on all-knowing, not on your own experience. But most importantly, as universal intelligence represents balanced and evolving ecosystems, the advice and direction that comes from that is always in the person's highest good. It's always in our highest good, because universal intelligence is the guiding force perpetuating evolution and our ecosystems. So it's always in our highest good, the information. Furthermore, and this is where things get very, very interesting as well, you can embrace UI for growing your own business, extracting the most direct path for success, as well as how best to communicate your worth to prospective clients. Able to get that information from this UI field. It's all there. So imagine running a business free from self-sabotage, free from those limiting belief systems that dictate, like a thermostat on a heater, how far we can grow and how fast we can grow and how easy we can grow. It's difficult to imagine. So becoming limitless is learning to draw on universal intelligence as the default rather than standalone intelligence. And this is a process. The more you begin to trust in these capabilities, over time, this higher intelligence begins to integrate within you. We're just out of practice. And as this begins to integrate within you, it becomes one with your everyday waking awareness. Some call this process enlightenment. Now, your higher self, as it's referred to, is this non-physical aspect, that part of you that represents all intelligence throughout the universe. Now, it's only our belief system permeating with self-doubt that switches us off from accessing this higher level of intelligence. And there are countless limiting beliefs that many of us are carrying from: I'm not lovable, I'm not worthy, I'm not wanted, I'm not attractive, I'm not talented. We all have variations of that I'm not enough, I'm inadequate belief system that permeates throughout our decision-making process and switches off that whole brain space. Because self-doubt is not a frequency that resonates with universal intelligence. Universal intelligence is operating at a high frequency of self-belief. So self-belief is that dial on the radio, that key that unlocks that higher level of intelligence. So when we dwell in low frequencies of thought, of self-doubt, self-pity, depression, self-hatred, we switch off that connection because it's just not that frequency. It cannot connect with that frequency. So behaviors such as constant comparison to others, letting the media dictate what you need and want, constantly doubting yourself, and often seeking other people's opinions about your life and your decisions are just a handful of the many traits that keep us from accessing whole brain intelligence. And how many of us engage in those traits, being unsure of ourselves, doubting and questioning ourselves, relying on others to guide us through and navigate our lives. And that's some of the fastest ways to disengage from whole brain intelligence. If you're going to be asking someone for advice and opinion, ask them how best you can trust yourself. Inside of that, the answers, the insights become available. Now, what I will do shortly, I will forward everyone a little article on more of these traits that we can avoid so we can engage in whole brain intelligence to help you move into that space. But ultimately, or a universal truth, is those who hold the most self-belief achieve the greatest fulfillment in life. So let's touch on this word that gets used a lot, called intuition. As I feel it's been given a bit of a bad rap. Now, intuition, it's important to touch on that because it relates directly to what I'm referring to. Your intuition is another word to describe whole brain intelligence. Because intuition is the extra information, the insights and the direction that seeps through during times of self-belief and when your mind is still. And often, This is when you least expect it. Having a shower, sitting peacefully, about to make dinner. That's when the insights are coming. Your mind is still. Intuition is our internal map system, which is syncing up to all-knowing. It is able to see beyond our immediate knowledge and circumstances. And that's what's critical. Our intuition is able to see beyond our own knowledge, our immediate circumstances, because it's drawing on universal intelligence to help you make far more informed decisions. Now, our intuition is inspiration. Now, a lot of people confuse intuition with any feeling that's arising in their body, and it's not. The majority of feelings that are arising in our body are coming from bumping into our belief systems, running into the full extent of our identity. And in doing so, that switches us off and has us say no and close off from opportunities. Where intuition leaves you feeling peaceful and calm, bumping into your belief systems, your identity, or as ego as we call it, has you feel frantic, agitated, anxious, and in fear. And there's some of the feelings. So when you're engaging those, no, it's not your intuition. Your intuition is a very light, subtle sensation. And the more you trust in it, the more it grows and develops, and the louder and clearer it becomes. So many of you have had the experience of walking into a room and experiencing a vibe, a good feeling or a bad feeling, or a tension that there's been an argument. As you learn to trust these feelings, you'll understand that that's the kindergarten version of whole brain intelligence. Those good, bad, bad, very, very basic whole brain intelligence. What becomes available is pure information, all the answers. So any of those situations where you've experienced thinking of someone moments before they call, that's very early on in terms of tapping into that universal intelligence. Your brain waves are syncing. Our intentions, when focused on other people, allow in that information and engage with that information. We teach a lot more of that in our programs. So our intuition is inspiration. It's pure genius and something never to be ignored. You'll be surprised as to how many people would live much longer and much safer lives engaged in intuition. Many deaths on this planet are because people are not listening. Because intuition keeps us out of harm's way, allowing us to evolve and grow. And from a planet perspective, intuition keeps us in sync with the ecosystem so that we don't destroy ourselves or the planet as we're learning who we are and what we're capable of. And this is an absolute must for all of us, especially our children. Now, our children are very interesting. They're very unique because many of them are born with this whole brain intelligence. But over the years, as they inherit many of our limiting belief systems, that shuts down. And this is why, as adults, we're now having to reconnect with it. But this whole brain intelligence isn't new. It's been around as ancient as human beings. But over the years, we've allowed self-doubt, this identity, this ego, to dictate who we believe ourselves to be. So, Christian, I think it's time we can go into demonstrating whole brain intelligence. And I'd like to give several different applications, and there are infinite applications of drawing on whole brain intelligence for every question you have about life, from how to run your business, how to heal an illness, to how to have a natural pain-free birth, which is something my wife has used UI for. Talk about achieving the impossible, and many of you ladies would agree, no doubt. There are countless applications of UI. So what I want to go through is some key fundamental uses of universal intelligence and what we use whole brain intelligence a lot at UI and what our courses are focused towards. So, Christian, the first area I want to use UI with is if we can have a volunteer who either themselves or know of somebody who has some form of illness, migraines, aches and pains, disease or anything, or any other of those what we call symptoms in the body that they'd like some insight into. And I'll be able to show you, demonstrate using whole brain intelligence how we're able to access information on that.
Okay then, so if we've got a volunteer who would like to come into the call, please press *6 and that will unmute your line, and then you'll be able to come into the call and ask the question. But once you've finished, please press *6 again to mute your line again so we still maintain the really clear recording quality. So if we've got a volunteer, if they could please press *6 now.
Yeah, that's me. Hi, Christian. It's Chris Ashton here.
Good morning, Chris.
Hi, how are you? How do you want me to ask this question? What's the way you want the format put?
So good morning, Chris. How are you?
Yes, very well, thank you, Daniel.
To answer your question, if you let me know, all you need to do is just let me know what is the symptom you're experiencing, and I'll demonstrate how we're able to use whole brain intelligence to pinpoint what's at the root cause.
Good. Do you want to know the original Western medicine diagnosis?
Well, what do you call it? Just tell me what you call it.
What do I call it?
What's the symptom?
Like what I was diagnosed with MS 8 years ago.
Yep.
And I did get myself to a point where I was symptom-free.
Great. Well done.
And in the last 2 months, I've had fairly significant sensations into my fingers again, and numbness running up my arm, outside of my arms to the top of my shoulder.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, great. Thank you, and I really appreciate that you're volunteering for this. All right, so just to give everyone a bit of a narrative, because I'm quite, used to using the whole brain intelligence, it's my default operating system now. My intentions to tap into Chris already start bringing information in. So already it's like there's insights coming in about where the root cause is. So if you just give me a sec just to get a nice fix, it's kind of like getting a radar fix on a target. Just bear with me 2 seconds. The biggest thing that shows up, and this is quite common with these kinds of illnesses, such as MS, and as well as even arthritis, any kind of things that generally have symptoms of these aches and pains through bones and tissues and things like that, is what's showing up for you, Chris, is that the root cause is and it all stems back to belief systems. It's like this belief system of I was never good enough to please my mother. Because self-hate at a very childhood level it's this resentment within of ourselves that starts manifesting this pain in our body. And this is a very, very big cause of these illnesses. So when you look at it deeply, let me go a little bit more deeply with you here. It's like as you were growing up, you felt there's nothing you could do that would make your mother happy and proud. And that's what, and because these beliefs are so subconscious, we don't get to see that it's actually not true at all, that it was the actually opposite. It was your mother was feeling that she was useless with you. She didn't know how to handle you. She wasn't able, in her mind, to, it's like, depart from how she was raised. And so you take on this feeling, you take on these energies, and you start deciding, that's who I am. And that creates this self-doubt in this body, this constant, why am I good enough? And that is very, very harmful to the body. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does, yes.
So,
and
sorry.
A very close reflection of, I think, what I have sorted through myself in the last 2 years, and a very good summation of probably my experience with my mother, actually.
Beautiful. Well, let's have a quick look. Let's see what the solution presents itself as, because it's important to identify what that root cause is, but now let's look at where the solution is. So let me just have a look. Now this is where things get a little bit precious for all of us, in that there's a link between you and your mother, a belief system that says I've got to stick. It's like I've got to stick by her. I've got to stick by that energy, that belief system, to help her feel okay about herself. And it's that sense. And it doesn't matter, it's interesting, it doesn't even matter whether the person's alive or not. It's often just this ongoing belief system that says, I've got to see that out, I've got to stick by them to have them feel reassured. So what the solution is for you, it's like this almost energetic, this belief system where you're cutting off. It's like, no, it's her growth, her evolution to see herself in a positive light. Me walking by her, standing by her, being there to pep her up in times of need, just perpetuates her self-doubt. You're not doing her any favours. You've got to be able to step aside, create the space for her to see herself, mirror back what's really there. And it's up to you to go, okay, it's time for me to look at my life without that filter on, without how do I please my mother filter. Because that's in the back, in your subconscious belief, is what's going on, is how do I make her proud, how do I stand by her, how do I show my support, how do I show that love.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yep.
Okay. Thank you for volunteering. It's great, Chris.
Much for those insights and thoughts, Daniel.
My pleasure. So there's as you can see, we can tap into whole brain intelligence to look at root cause. What is the thoughts behind the causation of illness? And it can be any illness at all. We can pinpoint the root cause, and we can look at what the solution is. And if we were working with Chris, we'd go a little bit deeper and would help him resolve some of these subconscious beliefs, so he can be very clear about who he is, independent of that situation. So the next area I'd like to demonstrate, and we might have time to go back to other people with illnesses or anything, symptoms like that. But Christian, the next area I'd like to demonstrate is looking at the subconscious beliefs with someone who's experiencing a lack of fulfillment in any area of life. Because every area of life, whether it's finance, physical health, relationships, children, business, is predicated upon certain self-beliefs at a subconscious level. So is there anyone who'd like to volunteer who's experiencing a lack of fulfillment?
Hi.
That was fast. Who are we talking to?
Hi. Can you hear me?
I can. Who am I talking to?
My name is Evie Britton.
Evie Britton.
Yes. And I'm basically feeling a bit of unfulfillment in my business. I've got a hair business, but at the moment I seem to be heading not in the right direction. So as a result, I'm not making money, and I'm not fulfilling my dream goal, so to speak.
Sure.
So.
All right. Well, what I'll do, I'm going to demonstrate, because what we're able to do with whole brain intelligence, we can perceive the information frequency of subconscious belief systems.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to look at what your subconscious belief systems are that are creating that symptom or that impact in your life. So just bear with me 2 seconds. Okay, what's showing up, the very first thing that comes in is I'm a failure. There's a root belief system, I'm a failure. Now let me show you how that's playing itself out. What it does, and this might be familiar to you, is your belief systems, you get excited, you get enthusiastic about new ideas, about making a difference, about, being successful. But that belief system, I'm a failure, gets masqueraded in your life as I'm bored. I think I've had enough.
Yeah.
Does that familiar?
Yeah.
I think I've had enough now. Maybe it's not for me after all. maybe I'll look at doing something else. So that there is this perfect example of the thermostat. Because of our belief systems, they create this thermostat in our experience of life that when we're about to reach or break through the extent of our belief systems, that ceiling, they come in and go, no, you're not a success, you're a failure. Now, in alignment with you being a failure, we're going to have to kind of put an end to this little activity of yours, and so because we don't want you to think that you're anything other than a failure, because your belief systems are there, they like to be right. That's what they're there for. It's a belief, so it's about validating itself. So that's what happens. So that's at the heart there. So let me have a look if on what we would need to do there to help shift that. Okay, there's a couple of layers of beliefs that are there, because finding fulfillment in a career, we generally need to get back to seeing yourself as worthy of fruitful and worthwhile activities. That's the biggest thing. So what we would do if we were helping you through that, or if you were helping yourself through that, is firstly looking at, well, let's see myself as bigger. Let's see myself as bigger than this failure person I've been looking at. Then what we'd need to do, let me have a look, what's next then? We would be looking at installing or new belief systems about persevering through that bump, because there's a big lesson in your life about persevering past that little bump in the road. But you need to put in new belief systems that allowed you or had you feel strong enough and empowered enough, so not feeling bored, that would allow you to push through that experience. And that's pretty much how you do it. So let me see if there's something you can do right away. Yeah, I'm getting there's a bit of an exercise you could do. If you could actually sit down and say, if I was not being a failure, what would my business look like? And what would my life look like? And that would give you a real good insight as to whether you're on purpose, whether you're actually in something that's fulfilling for you. Because if you're still not being a failure, whether you'd still be running that or not. Have a look at that.
Thank you. Makes so much sense.
You're so welcome, Evie. Right. Now, the next thing, Christian, if we can have a third volunteer to look at a demonstration about people, I guess we kind of did that one then, about people who are wanting to make decisions about their future. And we're able to tap into that higher self-intelligence, which is the part of you that's not constrained by your belief systems, that's not who your belief systems tell you are. We're able to tap into that to get the exact guidance and direction on how best to move forward on a particular area. So is there anyone, I guess...
Yes, Jan.
Jan, is that Jan Gazard?
Yeah.
Okay, Jan, what would you like?
I feel completely stuck with my life, really. That's probably too big a question, but I'm quite happy to listen to whatever insight you get. I just don't know which way to turn, and I know that I'm not living my life at the moment the way I should be.
Yep, okay, that's fine, that's enough.
And I'm lacking fulfillment in everything.
Okay, all right, well, let's look at what the biggest insights are there for you to get feel at peace and head towards that fulfillment experience. Fulfillment. Let me have a look. All right. Now, this is a very big one for you, Jan, is that you spend a lot of time with like-minded people. Now, in this case, that's not a good thing. You spend a lot of time with people who are wanting to be in misery's company. And that is the first thing you need to be doing, is going on, it's like putting the blinkers on, starving yourself of these depressive conversations with people, talking about how bad our life is, It just fuels the depression to the point where you almost create misery so you guys have things to talk about. It allows you to bond and therefore feel as accepted by each other. You feel part of something. That is the very first step you need to take. You've got to stop saturating yourself around other people's belief systems about what a struggle life is and how miserable everyone is and how life's unfair. That's the first step.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I didn't realise to that extent, but
It's absolutely, it's just, it's suppressive of your intuition, of your ability to see beyond who you think you are. It's, as I said, it's formed into, well, let's see what miserable thing I can go and talk about. And I do recall that is something that came up recently for you. So that's the first step. Now, definitely, Jan, what I would do is, and I mentioned this to everyone else, we have this question and answer facility on our website where you can go in and ask Universal Intelligence a question on any area of life at www.accessingui.com. You can ask any questions. So go online and we'll be able to go deeper with you as well. But that's the starting point for you. You've got to make that decision that I'm worthy not to keep doing that anymore. That's the first bit.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
Great. All right. Thanks, Jan.
Thank you.
My pleasure, as always.
Thank you very much, Daniel.
You're welcome. So, if people are game, and I think we've got time to take Universal Intelligence just a little bit further in looking at what about businesses? Because we're able to tune in, use whole brain intelligence to tune into the energy of businesses.
Sorry, Daniel, can I just
mute everyone?
Yeah, could we just mute everyone?
Yes, go for it.
Just one moment.
Does that just mean you press *6 again?
Oh, yeah, no, I'll just mute the entire line. Just one moment,
okay.
please.
Great.
All participants have been muted, but you can unmute your line by pressing *6.
Nice clear line again. Please continue, Daniel.
And I appreciate everyone staying on. I know we've gone a little bit over, but it's so worthwhile. It's so worthwhile. So the next thing I want to talk about is, as I said, everything is an energy. Everything is an intelligent energy. And a business, like a person, also carries information. A business is the sum total of all the thoughts that its owners, its staff, and even its customers are having about it. So we're able to use whole brain intelligence to steer a business to its perfect outcome. So if anyone's got a business they would like direction on, we're able to tune into that. I'm happy to demonstrate that too as our last demonstration before we go into question time.
Okay, so if someone could just press *6 just to come in, and then please remember that once Daniel's answered it, just press *6 to mute the line again.
Hi, it's Michelle.
Hello, Michelle. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, Daniel. How are you?
Good.
Good.
Is there a specific question you're wanting to know about your business, or are you just wanting some insight on it?
Insight.
Okay. What's the name of the business?
My business is Connecting the Change.
Connecting that change?
Yep.
Or connecting to change?
Connecting the change.
Connecting that change. Okay, great. All right, I'm happy to give you a general insight, but if you have specific questions, then we can get very, very specific answers for you. All right, bear with me 2 seconds.
Okay.
First thing that comes up is people don't understand you. It's like you've got it in your head exactly the benefit that you're wanting to contribute to somebody. But people aren't able to put that into a practical, real application in their own life, therefore unable to put a value match to that.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yep. Funny enough, my husband only said that to me last night. The bigger picture for me is setting up a women's leadership centre.
Beautiful.
And I just wondered if that is...
In your highest good?
Yes.
Is that part of this business, or is that separate to this business?
hadn't actually thought it. I suppose it's been my ultimate goal for over 12 months, and this is just the business I'm using, whether this is the path using this business or whether it's...
let's look at the first question. Is it in your highest good? Let's have a look at what the information is on that. The first bit of information that comes up is on the condition that you're open to working with a team.
Absolutely. That's my thing is being teamwork, being in a team.
It's also coming up, and the reason it's coming up is whilst that might be your thing, you still have difficulty handing over leadership.
Yep.
Yeah. And this is why the information is coming up, is yes, there's a worthwhile project, but on the proviso that it's a vehicle for you to grow and evolve, learning to hand over and delegate leadership and other key roles and responsibilities. For this to be larger and bigger than you, that is what's required. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any more specific questions on that?
No, because I've got to now think about how that's going to mix with what I've got in my mind and my thought and about the...
Okay. Let me just quickly see what's in the way of you handing over and delegating. Would you like me to do that?
That's a good idea.
Sure. You have a belief. There's two kind of intertwined beliefs. Simultaneous belief is nobody does it as well as me and everyone fails me and lets me down.
Yes, that's my default, is everybody fails me.
Yes, isn't it? Coming through as clear as day.
I've set them up to fail.
Yes. You get to be right every time, don't you?
Absolutely.
It's just all a reflection of our thoughts. That's exactly right. So well done. To let that in, it's huge. So let's see what there is to work on for you. Let's have a look. Okay, you ready for the kicker?
Mm-hmm.
I let myself down. That's what's at the heart. That's behind everyone lets me down. I let myself down. And it gets masqueraded as that next level of belief. So I just went a bit deeper in your subconscious beliefs there, and what shows up is I let myself down. That's what needs to be addressed.
That comes back to the self-worth.
Yeah, it always does. It always does. So in terms of moving forward on that, let's have a look. It's very similar to what happened with Chris earlier. We get these from our parents. The parents is, I've let you down. I've let you down as a child. We take that on. I let myself down. And then, bang, it just manifests throughout every decision making. You need to look at those belief systems. We can certainly help you with that if need be, but that's where you want to start is being able to see that it's not actually yours. It actually has nothing to do with you whatsoever.
I can see that would make sense with my father, just in the life that we've had, leaving one country and moving into another. I think he felt that.
Yeah, look, it's showing up as a very feminine energy, a very strong feminine energy, so that's why it felt like your mother, but, often, Did your parents separate at an early age?
No, they've been together for 60 years.
Well, it feels like there's this sense that she let you down. So have a look at that. Interesting. All right.
Well, thank you very much for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. So, Christian, I'm happy to, if people would like to have any questions, where would you like to go from here?
Okay, then, because I think you've done it. It's been amazing, the insights that you've been able to provide to people. So I'm sure that there are a lot of people out there who are on the call who would actually like to ask you many questions. So please, for people, if they would like to ask a question, please press *6 to unmute your line. Once you've asked the question, please press *6 again to clear the line again, so it'll be nice and clear.
This is Robert. Can I ask a question?
Of course you can, Robert.
Daniel, question number one. In the last week, I'm suffering really badly a lower back pain to the extent of virtually becoming immobilised. And it's just happened over the Easter period.
Okay, Robert, what I was going to do is, Christian, I was just about to say, I won't do any more demos with people. I'll just make Robert, I was just going to take general questions about whole brain intelligence.
Okay.
But we'll just give Robert that opportunity. And as I said, we do have our website where you can write in questions. We're happy to tune in for you and answer those. But Robert, just because you've asked a question, we'd love to help you. Bear with me 2 seconds. Robert, it feels to me like there was an event or a decision made that was like the final straw in you feeling that people aren't supporting you to be who you need to be. Can you see that?
Yeah, possibly, yes.
And what's happened is it's like, let's have a look. It's like you're gritting your teeth together and going, if I have to do this all by myself, I will. It's always how I have to do things. I have to carry everyone on my back. That's how I push through things. Is that familiar to you?
Yes, it is.
Yes. So the more energy, the more people we carry on our back, guess what happens to our lower back?
Okay, all right. Now that's a very good insight. Now the question I was actually going to ask is relating to your the course.
Oh yes.
That you're providing. One of the things that I find is I get very excited. I've done lots of courses in my life, and then once the fantastic information, etc., and then I seem to fizzle out after a little while. I don't seem to stick, and I'm just wondering whether attending your course is going to maybe create a bit of a breakthrough in this blockages that I'm obviously suffering.
Well, let me explain. Let me explain how that works and why it's different. At our courses, it's kind of the opposite of learning. We're not adding anything to you. It's more that we're removing something from you. So in a lot of other courses, people are adding information and getting you excited and motivating you. What we're actually doing is we're having you see that underneath the limiting beliefs of who you think you are, you've actually got these incredible abilities. We're just reminding you. We're just reconnecting you to that. So it's like a child learning how to walk. And once you can walk, you can walk. And that's why when you come to the courses, you actually leave with these abilities, and they're yours. It's not about having to do more learning or more study or more reading. It's just you. It's just who you are. We've just had to strip down these layers of self-doubt to get to who the real you is. So then from that point on, it's just about you learning to trust and nurture those skills and applying them in every situation you can to strengthen and hone that ability. But they're yours. It's as I said, it's exactly like a child learning how to walk. As long as they keep walking rather than keep trying to crawl, they're going to keep being able to walk. And that's how our courses work.
Okay, when's your next course in Melbourne?
The next Melbourne one is July 23rd, 24th and 25th.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Great to have you on the line.
Thank you.
Actually, Daniel, I'll ask, what preparations can the people who are attending on the teleconference today, what type of preparations can they all do to start accessing whole brain intelligence?
Great question. Well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to send everyone, as I said, some information on all the little habits and traits that inhibit whole brain intelligence. But give me a sec. I'd actually, the great thing about universal intelligence is we don't have to give general information. We can actually tune in and get what the specific information is. So if you give me 2 seconds, I'd actually like to just tune in and get a feel from everyone what would actually make the biggest difference to the callers that are on the line. So just give me 2 secs. The first thing that comes up is you need to have the thought that this is possible for you. That's the very first thing. You just need to go, all right, this is what's me at my very core. I've just shrouded myself inadvertently with a lot of self-doubt and other people's belief systems, and that's why I haven't been able to tap into it. It's not because I can't. It's not because I wasn't born with it. It's just because I'm layered up with all these belief systems that are masquerading as who I am when it's not. So that's the very first thing people on this call need to realize. Have the thought, it is possible for you as an individual. That's the first thing. The next thing is you need to, and it's similar to what came up earlier, you need to be very, very careful who you're associating with. There are a lot of people in a lot of your lives that are know-it-alls, that have read all the latest scientific journals and books and have all the latest quantum physics data and believe they know everything. And that can be very intimidating for a lot of you. So you start thinking, well, I haven't read all these things. Maybe they know more than me. It's an absolute fallacy. It's not true. So you need to be very, very careful if you're spending time around these people. Avoid engaging in those conversations that leave you feeling flat and disempowered, because it is robbing you of your self-belief. Very important one for people. I'll see if there's a third one for everyone to help people move on. Of course. If it's funny, this is exactly what shows up, but if there was a faster way of teaching you how to access whole brain intelligence, would be teaching it in our courses. So the biggest thing, if you guys can work with us and allow us to show you how we do it through our courses, well, that's going to definitely be a fast track. And there's some big things. On top of that, I will also send you some more information on, as I said, some of the biggest traits that are getting in the way. And that will definitely help people.
Fantastic. So for people who are interested in the courses, if you can have your pen and paper ready, I'll let you know that the next Reawaken Your Inner Genius will be run on May 21st, 22nd and 23rd, 2011 on the Sunshine Coast in Queensland. And the next Melbourne Reawaken Your Inner Genius course will be run on the 23rd, 24th and 25th of July 2011.
Great. Does anyone have any more questions before we finish up?
I think you've done a fantastic job, Daniel.
I just have one general quick one.
Sure, who's speaking?
It's Jan. Just listening to what you were just explaining to us after what you told me personally earlier, I just had one of those big whammos when you wake up to somebody who's been having a negative influence but you didn't realise it.
Oh, great.
Because they disguise themselves as being helpful. Does that make sense?
Yes, they do.
Is that very, very common, or is it that some of us are more susceptible to that because we have a lack of self-belief in the beginning and those kind of knowledgeable people get into us more?
You've just answered your question beautifully.
Right.
It is common because there's many that are carrying that self-doubt, and people who carry the self-doubt very much need to cling to people, have a lot of self-belief.
Right.
Feels that void.
Okay.
So you answered that beautifully.
I got it. I take it there are a number of people on this call who haven't done the course.
Yes.
I'd like to just share something privately because I was in exactly the same position as the nice man earlier who's done a lot of courses. And even though I personally did not do the third day of the course simply because I went into it with a nasty virus, and I realised that I would have been better off doing it when I was well. But because I have done so many courses and been searching for so many answers for so long, I will tell you that I took my inner cynic on my shoulder, and I have great intuition about people once I can meet them and see them and experience them. And I just totally, without being over-emotional and ridiculous, I totally gosh Daniel and Sonia and the people around them. They're just beautiful people. And Daniel is like, for those of us who are a bit older and have done lots and lots of courses, I just wish I could turn back the frigging clock and have my life back at that age. And I just trust this guy completely, even though I haven't yet. I'm coming back to do the course feeling really well, and I know that they're coming from the highest space, and that's the bit that's important to me. Because if we can learn to access our own answers, we don't need to keep doing millions of courses. We just need to get on with ourselves, and I'm looking forward to that myself.
Wow, Jen, what more could one say to that? Thank you so much.
And that wasn't a set-up, anyone. If anyone thinks it is, you're welcome to get my phone number from Daniel and Sonia, and I'm happy to talk to you. Complete no set-up, just being honest. I've been searching for answers forever.
Oh, thanks, Jen. Thank you. Thanks so much.
Pleasure.
All right. Well, thank you, Christian, and ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for attending our teleconference. And just a reminder for those of you who do want to tap into universal intelligence, come onto our website. It's free. Ask a question, and one of our highly, highly trained UI staff will be able to tune in and provide you with some direction and insight that you might not be able to tap into at this point. So it's been an absolute pleasure. I do hope to see you guys all at our courses in Melbourne or Sunshine Coast. I do hope to meet every single one of you. This is an incredible ability, and I'd love to share it with you all. Thank you. Thank you, Christian.
Yeah, thank you very much, Daniel, for your presentation. And I just want to recap, for people who would like more information about UI, please go to www.accessingui.com.